welcome to our Thursday afternoon night live here on Inside Texas with my guy Evan Veith again, putting in the early work here. So appreciate y'all guys tuning in a little bit earlier than normal for these Thursday shows. Evan, how we doing, brother man?
I'm doing well, doing well. Saw a embarrassingly unentertaining soccer game to start this World Cup with my roommate who's big Team Mexico fan, so at least he got his win.
Yeah, again, I just I want to see some goals. I want to see a high tempo. I guess I want to see basketball on grass. You know what I mean? And you're not gonna see that too often, but especially early stages of pool play, everybody kind of getting their feet wet. You don't want to be the one to concede a goal. But yeah, we'll see what America looks like tonight. I'm a little bit nervous. We'll see. Got a group we should be able to handle. But hey, what's happening in the middle of all this World Cup action is you got the College World Series going on in Omaha, Texas, obviously making his 39th trip there. So yeah, we'll see if it feels like it's just been too long, Evan. I mean, it's been over 20 years. Obviously, I haven't been in a final since what, '09 versus
Oh no.
LSU. Yeah, the semifinal appearance for Mississippi State, which felt like the national championship series with how
Yeah.
intense that was, how well that series was played out, how competitive that series was played. But real quick, guys, don't forget about that Inside Texas summer sale. That's 50% off the Ultimate Fan Bundle. So come hang out with us. Let's talk some hardball. Let's talk some recruiting. Obviously, you just had big news with Casey Curry jumping in this latest class for Texas in the 2027 class. A huge commitment for the guys. So hey, let's talk about it over here with Evan, and then hop on over to InsideTexas.com and talk about it with all the fellas and everybody over there. So thanks for being with us. Throw a like on the video if you would. But yeah, Evan, let's talk some hardball, man. Schloss has got the fellas in Omaha in year 2. I'm going to be honest. You've heard me. I've talked about it with you. I've had my doubts a little bit through the regionals. Felt good about the matchup with Oregon and the Super Regional, but overall, man, and a really dang good season. We kind of talked about goals coming into this season. You know what I mean? You and I, what makes a successful season for Texas? And me personally, I didn't care about winning the SEC. I wanted to be a national seed. I wanted to host a regional, super regional, and then, hey, get right back here. And that's where Texas has found themselves. Your goals, I feel like, if I can remember correctly, were pretty much spot on the same. I probably copied yours. That's how it normally goes here. But so, yeah, Texas is obviously, in my opinion, hey, the season is an A plus. You're back here. You've had transfer talent. You didn't know exactly how everything would mix. A lot of positives about this club right now. A lot of positives about this club in the future. Do they have to win it all though, Evan, for it to be? I mean, we're not going to not try, but hey, like not putting pressure on them because I do feel like Texas is a little bit of a favorite here. You look at the other side of that bracket. Texas is definitely in the tougher of the two sides. Yeah, but how much pressure is Schloss and the guys under to win this thing, finish us off?
I don't think all that much when you're talking about what your preseason expectations were. I think maybe there was probably a strong subset of Texas fans who said, "All right, Jim, like you got last year, but let's go to Omaha this year." And I was a little more on the line of if you were good for most of the regular season and maybe get upset in a super regional, then it's not the end of the world. It's disappointing, but then you hit the portal hard with your 2 straight good freshman classes. But there's definitely no expectation that you have to win, but 0-2 is at this point in time probably not acceptable, right? Like that just can't be the way you bow out of Omaha. It's happened a little too much in the last, I think, of the 6, maybe 2 of the last 6 for Texas have been bowing out 0-2, at least the most recent in 2022. So, you're the only blue blood here, right? Like UNC and Oklahoma are the only ones who have been here more than 10 times or, in the double digits. Oklahoma's the only other one who's won more than one title. So, now is the time to start chipping back away at some of these records. USC and LSU have more College World Series titles than you. So, like, let's get back within one of LSU sooner rather than later, given their recent success. So, having the expectation that your team has to win the national championship, especially when, Texas was really good this year, but they entered the tournament as maybe 6th in terms of power rating, as high as 4, depending on where you look. But most places would have had UCLA and the 2 Georgia teams ahead of them. Texas was seeded 6th, even if you thought, they're better than UNC and Auburn. That's still 3 teams ahead of you. So one of those teams is still remaining in Georgia, and that's obviously the big bad, the big bad Bulldogs that you got to get through. But yeah, don't go 0-2, please. Like that's not the kind of expectations we should be having for this team. But get a win and make every game competitive. That's the kind of team Texas has, is an always competitive kind of roster, and that's shown up with an undefeated postseason. They only had 2 series losses all year, one of which came on a very odd 2-game series with some rain delays and some a lot of extracurricular factors involved. So this Texas team has stayed in pretty much all that they've played, but now you're not at the Dish anymore. Neutral field, like you really got to step up your game at this point in time.
Yeah, well said, man. And especially if you're again on our half of the bracket and you open with the Georgia Bulldogs, who are really, again, it's Texas, Georgia, North Carolina. In my opinion, the clear three teams who are the favorites, should be the favorites. No disrespect to Oklahoma, the pitching they have, they've been very, very hot. You're talking about knocking out the ACC champion, the Big 12 champion, as we talked about on last night's show. Very impressive for Skip Johnson and his group. But man, Texas, Georgia to start off, Evan. It's like, man, we've been working to get back. We had to deal with Mississippi State and Will Bednar. Felt like we played them 500 times in that 1 week. Obviously, it was just the three matchups. But man, Texas has to get off to a 1-0 start. That's going to be the key. You have to have a quality effort from Dylan Volantis. You're going to have to be able to get to Joey Volchko a little bit. But that Georgia lineup, man, and it's a lot deeper than just Daniel Jackson, Trey Phelps. The guys that your everyday college baseball fan knows about. Like that Georgia lineup is deep. I'm curious to see how they attack this game. Do they try to go at Dylan early in counts and maybe attack the best pitch that they think they're going to see? Do they try to take some more pitches to try to see if they can get into that Texas bullpen? Yeah, man, it's going to be a fun matchup. Across the board, though, outside of Texas, Georgia, what's your favorite first-round matchup we have here on Saturday or Sunday?
Easily Ole Miss UNC. That is a game that's going to have Taylor Rabe has been so good for Ole Miss in these 2 games he's pitched in their little run, and then UNC. I don't think it's going to be Glauber as a starter, but they've got this freshman, and a lot of the names I'm talking about here, you're going to read an article I post tomorrow about kind of some of the key names in Omaha this year. But they've got this true freshman who was the co-freshman of the year pitcher with Cozart, I think, on Perfect Game or NCBWA, one of the two. But he comes in either as relief, but also this last game that they played against USC gave them 7 1/3 starting. So that's 2 really good pitching teams with 2 really good offenses, at least with how they've been playing recently. Both of them really battle tested. UNC went to 3 games against USC. Ole Miss had to get through the Nebraska regional and then the Auburn super regional. So, West Virginia Troy doesn't excite me all that much. I think it'll be fun. It'll be scrappy. I think West Virginia wins. And then Oklahoma, Alabama. I've written about it recently. If people have been paying attention on Inside Texas, I'm much higher on Oklahoma than I am Alabama. I think Alabama's gotten too easy of a path in a way, and they haven't really been that excellent with the way that they've been playing. It's kind of just Justin LeBron, the pitchers, and friends. So I think Oklahoma's going to take that, and really it's going to turn a bit of a 3-team region on that side of the bracket.
Can Oklahoma throw strikes? If Oklahoma is able to get the ball across the plate with that pitching staff, they tend to win those games. They're tough guys. They've got good stuff. They've got good velocity. And again, I do think they're a little bit more battle tested, as you kind of just said, Evan. Again, it seems like maybe everybody's had a little bit more difficult road than Alabama. And they'd probably sit there and say something about our road too. But Oregon was a really good club. I know that it went down in 2 games. Texas easily could have lost game 1. Very easily could have lost game 2. That Oregon pitching staff is really, really good. I think they were one of the better ones in the country. When there was those 16 teams left. Got a question from our good friend, Mr. Wright. What do you make of West Virginia? They didn't need an easy pass so far, but they destroyed their competition. I like this team. They're fun and they're scrappy, as Evan kind of said. But is this indicative of their ability, or is this a mirage?
I think it's very fair to point out what they've played, and they also are one of the teams that has had to play a lot of games because they lost early against, I think it was Kentucky. So it wasn't the hardest path. It was one of the most strenuous because they had to play so many games, and once they got to Cal Poly, they were just so hot that they couldn't cool down. And at the end of the day in Omaha, a lot of it is just about who is hot coming into it, and the perfect mix of are you playing well and are you a good team. One thing I've noted, and this is not an original thought, I've been listening to podcasts and people make their takes. I believe Just Baseball Media was the one I heard this one on, that West Virginia's play style works really well in the Charles Schwab Field at Omaha, because that's a field that can limit home runs in a way. And West Virginia's got one really elite bat in Gavin Kelly, and just a really good 1 through 9 after him, or I guess 3 through 9 and their leadoff hitter after him. It's not these super powerful hitters, but they really move the line really well, and that's how they get these crooked innings of just doubles, singles, walks, making the players in the field make plays, which is just in these high pressure environments. That's a fun play style to have. You pair that with maybe the best 1-2 punch in Omaha. Maybe I wouldn't solidify that yet, but Yell and then Chance and Cole, really good duo. Max Yell was had Tommy John last year, and is now arguably the best pitcher coming into things. So they're legit. Like, I think it wouldn't surprise me if any of those 3 teams that's not Troy make it, but like West Virginia probably gets a 1-0 start. and a little bit more written in than maybe some other teams are going to get in this Omaha. That goes a long way just to have that one win and navigate around the losers bracket and be ahead of that.
Yeah, that's the thing that's up about our side, man. And we kind of hammered on that point last night. Like, if you get into the losers bracket, considering the depth of that Georgia lineup, the depth of the Oklahoma pitching staff, Alabama still on any given day, they can go out there and be if that. And we're not knocking Alabama. We're just saying they haven't been as tested yet, and we like
Yeah.
Oklahoma in that matchup with them. That's all. And so clearly, Oklahoma or Alabama could sit there and beat any of the three teams, also. So good luck if you drop this first game, whether you're Texas, Georgia, Oklahoma, or Alabama. It's going to put you in a really, really difficult spot in that tournament. The other side, like you said, man, you got to go 1-0. But again, I think if you're a North Carolina or if you are in West Virginia, just with some of the depth of the pitching staffs is a big thing. And I don't say you think you have some of that on that other half as much as you do this side with Texas, with Georgia, Oklahoma as well. Evan, you got to pick a winner on that other side. Let's go through the bracket. Okay, so you said you like West Virginia to beat Troy in game one.
Yes, I do.
And then
I think I like Ole Miss to win that game one too.
Is that due to momentum or?
Yeah, momentum, and Rabe's been pitching really well, and they confirmed that he was starting today. There was maybe some speculation if Hunter Elliott would go, but I think it's going to be those two teams win. West Virginia advances to the final, and UNC meets them there, and UNC does end up taking it. Coming back from 2 games, I do think West Virginia, again, that path will be really, really easy to get to the finals, right? You face the second best pitcher at Ole Miss when your pitching is better, even though Hunter Elliott's he's experienced, but your pitching's been better from the number 2 spot as you're pulling it up here. Then you do get to UNC, and I just think UNC has a little bit more depth in both their lineup and their pitching. Hull at center field's been super good for them. Their shortstop and second base combo have both been great. So I think UNC wins, but I really would not be surprised if West Virginia that easy path just kind of keeps going. You're playing hot, and you're not having to play the best teams. You're not having to play Georgia, Georgia Tech, UCLA, Texas. You just kind of waltz into the finals, which I think that's very reasonable to happen.
Hey, man, that's really good. That's a really good take. I like your thoughts on West Virginia. I'm going to kind of get into my thoughts on that side of the bracket as well. And of course, we'll do our side as well. First, guys, we're going to hear a quick word from David McClellan, and we'll be right back.
Big financial decisions don't have to feel overwhelming. There's someone who can guide you every step of the way. David McClellan is a fiduciary financial advisor with Forum Financial, and he's working closely with his clients as a true financial life coach, guiding every aspect of your financial journey with expertise and care. If his name sounds familiar, that's because David was a swimmer at Texas and a member of several national championship teams. Today, he channels that same championship mindset into helping people win with their finances. David specializes in financial planning, and he's contributed numerous articles to Keipelinger on the topic of retirement tax bombs. And right now, David is offering viewers a free intro consultation to assess your financial situation. Do not miss this chance to get personalized guidance from a trusted expert. To schedule your free consult, email David at dmcclellan@forumfinancial.com, or you can call him directly at 312-933-8823. The contact info is in the description.
All right, moving on here with discussion about the 2026 College World Series. Evan just kind of gave his a little bit of a prediction and takes rundown on the top bracket here, which is the openers: West Virginia, Troy, then Ole Miss and North Carolina. And Evan, I'm kind of like you, man. I really think that the West Virginia in that offense, they can manufacture runs. They can play small ball. They can steal a base. They play situational hitting, and do these things. That you really got to do against some really good pitching, which North Carolina and Ole Miss both have. And again, not to disrespect Troy, but obviously Troy doesn't have the same caliber of staffs that they do. But yeah, I think that their style of baseball is exactly what it is. It's winning style in this particular park, winning style against good pitching, good defense. And so you'll see if they can stay hot, man. They're going to have to string some hits together. Sometimes, at some point you got to get a rally started. You got to get the runners on to be able to get the hit and runs and to get the stolen bases going and things like that. So let's see if Ole Miss or North Carolina is able to keep them, off the base pass down the road in those potential matchups. But me personally, Evan, not to be the copycat, man, but I like Evan. I like West Virginia. I like the West Virginia to get through, which would be really unique, man. But they are really, really hot. So, Mr. Wright, thanks for bringing that up, man. And like you, this is a fun day to start, finish up the work day. Thanks for spending it with us. yeah, I'm taking West Virginia, man. And that little country roads all the way to the Omaha and the College World Series final. Now let's go to the bottom half, man. And again, not to put too much pressure on you here, considering we are talking about our Longhorns, who we'd love and cover. But how are we feeling about Texas, Georgia, and then Oklahoma, Alabama?
So Oklahoma, Alabama, I do, like I've said before, Oklahoma I think is just hotter. Alabama's got some really good pitching, and that's shown up in their games. But Oklahoma's just playing better baseball right now, and they've really been tested, right? Like Georgia Tech and Kansas in 4 straight games, all of them in some, two of the Georgia Tech ones elimination games, and the Kansas one, obviously you don't want to go down 1-0 in the super regional away from your home. So basically 3 elimination games right there. They won all of them, and a lot of them with the offense, but some of them just with really good pitching. So they've completely changed around their starting rotation core. It's pretty funny that Camden Johnson was the guy who gave Texas fits when they came to town. Not a starter on their team anymore. It's Cord Rager. Mercurius is still one of them, and they kind of just figure it out. I think Cleveland has started a game for them. If I'm remembering correctly, it might be a different one. But, I think Cord Rager, their freshman pitcher, is really, really good, and he's been on a heater. Just think they're better offensively than Alabama, and they're going to be able to match pitching-wise. Give me Alabama there. And, for people listening along who like to bet, that's not my style. But if you look right now, Texas is third in odds for the College World Series on DraftKings is where I'm looking right now. But they're favored to win game 1 against Georgia. I would venture to say that whoever wins that game will instantly shoot to first in odds, no matter what. Even if UNC wins and holds there, even if West Virginia wins, I would say that team goes there. If you want to be smart and just bet against what the books are saying, like I'd bet on Texas right now, right this second, because they also think that Dylan Volantis has the advantage in pitching that maybe Georgia can't match, right? I mean, that's probably the biggest single difference between these two teams is what you're going to get from the starting pitcher and closer between Volantis and Cozart versus Volchko and then Bird, who's been really good, but not quite as consistent. I wouldn't be surprised if Aoki comes in long relief if they need him to. Just say, like, we got to beat Texas no matter what. Like, let's get this 1-0. We'll expend one of our probably our second starter that we'd planned on having. But Texas will probably do the same with Luke Harrison. So, that's not dirty. It's not cheap. It's just how you play in the College World Series. And I think they're going to have similar ideas with those teams. So it's all about Texas being able to stay up with the Georgia hitting. And, Daniel Jackson and Trey Phelps are always going to give you problems. Lujo to O'Shaughnessy, go all the way down the line. Colby Branch has had a big power stroke to end the year. So,
yep.
It really is court. It's 1 through 9, and then you can pick 2 more if you really want to of who's hitting well for Georgia and who would start on pretty much every team in the nation. So I do think Texas can take this game 1. I'm going to bet on Dylan Volantis being the best pitcher in college baseball for this game, and that might come back to bite me, but I think that's where Texas wins. But that being said, I think they go and beat Oklahoma. Georgia comes back around, and the Bulldogs take it, because I just think once you get deeper into it and the pitching quality lessens and you're in a dogfight and you're in a hitter's duel, you just don't want to be facing against the Georgia Bulldogs when it's a race to who can score 9 runs first. So I do think it's going to end up being Georgia UNC if I had to put money on it. I think Texas and Ole Miss will win their first games, but then lose on the wraparound, which is kind of a funny idea to see it come that way. But that's just kind of the idea of what their starting pitchers are good at and what their teams do well. So Texas does not lose 2 games in a row ever, right? That just does not happen throughout the season. It only happened twice against A&M and Tennessee. That was on the road. Texas fans will be there in Omaha pretty well. That it's not going to feel like a true away game anyway. But I think this Texas team has the goods to go and win it all. I think they will win it on Saturday. Close game, going to go down the wire. But Volantis, Harrison, Cozart, give me that against anyone else in the nation. It's just that when you get deeper into this and you need your bottom of the lineup to make big hits, and you need some of these randomer bullpen arms who haven't had as much leverage opportunity to come in and get big outs, it's just harder for me to pick Texas against Georgia in those cases.
That's the thing why I agree with you and think that I agree with the odds makers as well. I do think that they have the odds appropriate. I think that even for this matchup, like that, I'm saying, if you believe Texas is going to beat Georgia, that Dylan Volantis is going to beat Georgia, then you should get your odds in now. You take the odds now, because if I made the prediction last night, I think whoever wins game 1 wins the College World Series. That's how important I think Saturday is to me. Because again, I think Georgia does have a good pitching staff, and they do have some depth to it. They have guys in their bullpen like we just talked about, but I mean, when it's do or die, the College World Series, you're lining up playing baseball day after day after day, having to fight through that losers bracket. again, there will be a little bit of rest in there, but it's going to be difficult again because I think Oklahoma has peaked at a right time, obviously, and then Alabama is still very, very talented as well. So even though we do have a big deal of respect for this Georgia lineup, I think, in my opinion, whoever wins game one is just going to be in such a driver's seat while those other teams, the two teams that lose, they're going to chew each other up for one game, and then if hopefully Texas can get through, who I think is going to be Oklahoma, which will be a fantastic setting in Omaha if it is Texas and Oklahoma there. Skip Johnson coached obviously at Texas. Schloss coached at A&M. It's just so much fun in the state. A lot of ties, a big triangle of fun. But no, in reality, like I like Texas in that matchup again. All about coordination. Shout out Cord Rager. Hard not to root for the guy. There's very few of us, but at the same time, we'll see if Oklahoma's there. We'll see who they decided. If it is Cord. I don't know, man. Oklahoma's peaked at the right time, and it's no disrespect to Georgia. I don't think that whoever loses this game with Texas or Georgia, I don't expect them to make it all the way back to the finals. I just think it's going to be too tough. You share obviously a different opinion. I know how good this Georgia lineup is. Like you said, man, you can't get into games that are like 9-8 with this Georgia team. Like that's not the type of game you want to play. You start playing that game, you're not going to be successful, as many times as you hope. You're going to have to be Georgia, in my opinion, playing games 4-2 games. You really have to limit them with your starting pitching. You have to guy that's going to get deep into games. Maybe it's 5 innings, maybe it's 6 innings. Maybe you have your best reliever come in and he goes for 2 or 3 innings and then you close it down. Like that's going to be the recipe for teams to beat these Georgia guys. It's probably not going to happen, with bullpen games. You're not going to be able to go in and say, okay, we can out-hit them or out-slug them. I mean, we talked about last night, Daniel Jackson has over 30 stolen bases for a catcher. Like that, that's crazy. Like, so they do more than just hit the long ball. They've played in games that are low scoring. They show that they can win, in multiple ways. And so that's a lot of respect for this Georgia team. Like Johnson's got a really, really good group over there. We're going to talk a few more minutes about it, guys, but we're going to go and hear from tonight's sponsor, Andre the Lawyer, and we'll be right back.
Texans know when you're injured, there's one name that gets results: Andre the Lawyer. Trust the team that has secured millions for their clients and helped thousands of Texans win their injury cases. Car wrecks, slip and falls, 18-wheeler accidents, on-the-job injuries, wrongful deaths. Don't let the insurance companies tell you what your claim is worth. Andre the Lawyer will fight for you. His principal office is in Dallas, but they serve Texans throughout the state. So don't wait. Call 214-444-8808. That's 214-444-8808. Contact info is in the description.
All right, keeping it going here. So, I mean, Evan, you kind of talked about Georgia obviously coming back up, double dip in Texas potentially. You talked about West Virginia doing the same to Ole Miss. Who you have winning your College World Series final, brother?
I think it's going to be the Bulldogs. It's hard to bet against this Georgia team. I think they're so, I don't even know if complete's the right way to say it because, they're way better at hitting than they are at pitching, but they're just so well coached. They're so good. They're going to win some ugly games where teams make mistakes and both sides are going to score 10 runs. But it's also hard to ignore, Cord, that this was already one of the best teams coming in. And then they also had to play Mississippi State and go and beat them and did it in 2 games. Like they're so tested. They've been tested throughout the regular season in the SEC. And I know their overall strength of schedule is weak, but their SEC schedule is tough and they dominated through it. So it's hard for me not to pick them in any sense that West Virginia, UNC, Ole Miss, whoever you think they're going to play. I just think that they're such a well-oiled machine of an offense, and it just seems like the right time for a team like that.
I get it. It's a good lineup. It's a pretty good pitching staff. You start to get into these guys who are retired. You start to get these even the 1 and 2s of these pitching staffs when Georgia gets eyes on him maybe a second time. You know what I mean? And it's gone up, and each guy's had 5-6 at bats. Like this Georgia lineup does a good job adjusting. They're really, really good. They've hit really good pitching throughout the year, so I don't think that's a bad pick at all, Evan. I like it. I like you taking Georgia. You're wearing red. You got a little black in the background. I kind of felt it coming.
Or my Capitals jersey.
It makes us feel like we're not homers a little bit here on Inside Texas because I'm definitely taking Texas. I'm taking Texas over West Virginia. I think it'll be a fun. Again, West Virginia, they can manufacture runs, a scrappy little bunch. But with Texas, the pitching that they have, I think the lineup. And this is a lineup that I've criticized a lot throughout the year. I've criticized the approach to the plate. I've said some have a low confidence, some look lost or clueless at the times. I've been respectful about it, but trying to keep it real. And again, that's baseball, man. It's a long season. You have your highs, you have your lows, and right now a lot of these Texas these hitters, man, they're really, really confident to plate, man. I can definitely tell. the baseball looks a little bit bigger than maybe your
Yeah.
average plate appearance. And so you love that. You want to see that translate away from Dish Falk Field, go all the way up into the cornfields of Nebraska, and go hit the baseball there too, baby. I want to do this, Evan. I think this will be a fun thing.
Mm-hmm.
Your best three pitchers. Could be
Okay.
starting pitching, could be relief pitching, could be whatever you want. Your best three pitchers that the fans are going to see at Omaha this weekend.
See on Texas' side or just in general?
In general, and then the entire field.
Okay.
You might give them a name they've never heard before.
I mean, I'll say Volantis, but that's just kind of cheap. I'm not going to have that be on there. So
3 non-Texas pitchers. There we go.
Taylor Rabe. I think I've already raved about Rabe already, but just like 6'6", big fastball guy, a lot of pitches, good command. Sometimes he loses the command, but when he's on, he's just on 6 or 7 innings in a game for you. Going to be a workhorse for Ole Miss, and that's definitely the guy who I would have there. I'd say Max Yell from West Virginia, who's their starter, big lefty. I already kind of mentioned he had Tommy John last year, didn't get to play against LSU when they were there for the Super Regional. Just a tremendous fastball slider combo. Will go that 9-inning, 124 pitch distance. That's what he did against Kansas in the regular season. So he's up there. And then Glauber from UNC, who I mentioned as well, Caden Glauber, was this reliever who's kind of their Cozart relief pitching freshman who would come in when they really needed him to. He did a little bit more extensive work. Like he would come in for these 3 or 4 inning games and either get saves or just relieve a starter who wasn't doing well before setting up the closer. And then comes in against USC, who had been hitting so well, and gives them 7 1/3, where really his only mistakes were a balk and some solo shots. So those 3 are the ones where I'm like, you have to pay attention to them. They are the best pitchers there. And if just to extend a little bit, at West Virginia, Chanson Cole is really good. He's their starter. Cord Rager at Oklahoma, UNC's starter DeCaro, I believe his name is. He starts when Glauber comes in relief a lot. Another good pitcher. And then Walker Hooks for Ole Miss, like talking about another reliever with Sam Cozart, who's really good, big dominant lefty who will go multiple innings, but is mainly their closer. Similar usage to Cozart there.
I love it, man. Just a couple of names for you guys to keep out and pay attention for. And again, Evan's going to be dropping an article on Inside Texas, you said tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow morning should be out.
There you go. And more tidbits. And I guess you're going to, again, he's not just talking Texas baseball on there. So go learn some new names, who to follow, who you think might have a chance. Going back to Mr. Wright's question here, who benefits the most from an extra day of rest between early games and the College World Series?
Honestly, I believe he's talking about how, Oklahoma plays before Texas does.
I think so, yeah.
Probably the Oklahoma team because or the winner of Oklahoma, Alabama, because Texas versus Georgia, most likely, even if Texas wins, there's going to be some pitcher usage that really gets to you. So I would be pretty happy if I was one of those two teams, knowing that I might just be able to get a really weakened Texas or Georgia staff who's gone through the ringer the night before, 2 nights before. But either way, I think it's that side that benefits a little more.
Yeah, and again, I think, like you said, there's nothing wrong or malicious if Georgia goes Volchko, Aoki, Texas goes Volantis, Harris. You know what I mean? That you have to win game one. So do not be shocked to see, obviously Schloss or Johnson get pretty deep in their bag to try to win game one. And so I think that with Oklahoma and the way that they pitched the ball lately, again, if they're throwing strikes, we'll see. I think again, I like Alabama's lineup. That's a pretty strong lineup. It is not Georgia's lineup. Nobody has Georgia's lineup. So it's a tall task for Texas. So there's even the case of where, hey, let's go. If Dylan goes out and God forbid struggles a little bit, and then all of a sudden you're trying to find a guy who can get not just throw strikes, but get outs against that lineup because, hey, you do have the rest of the tournament still going on while attempting to battle back into a game against Joey Volchko. So it's going to be important for Texas to get off to a positive start. In that game, I don't want to see another Will Bednar just mows us down for whatever 7, 8 innings, whatever it was. That was absolutely terrifying. I can't remember the amount of Ks. It was 18 or it was something ridiculous, man.
I think it was 21 between the two pitchers. It was 15 Bednar, 6 Sims.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, he genuinely was the Terminator. I do not want to see that at all. So, hey, I'm honestly not. Again, appreciate you commenting, Mr. Wright. Chris, appreciate you being here. You're not late. We're early.
We're early.
Yeah, real early. Connor might get on me for this one, but again, Chris, tell us who you got winning. I hope it's the Horns, but who do you like at the College World Series? Who do you think is going to advance to the finals out of each side of the brackets? And then ultimately, who wins, brother? We just kind of been sharing opinions, thoughts. I've got Texas over West Virginia. Evan said he's got Texas going 2 and Q going home. Doesn't even know why they're going. Pretty brutal, but no, he's got Texas winning a couple games, and then Georgia coming back up through the losers bracket and getting the Horns. So now that you're late, but now you're all caught up, Mr. Chris. So thank you for being here, man. But yeah, let us know in the comments, guys. Drop your World Series predictions. It's going to be again. It's just hey, as cool a setting as there is for me in college sports. I've been lucky enough, Evan. How many times have you been up there?
Up to Omaha?
Yep.
Never. No, not once.
Never. All right. Well, I'm even more blessed than I realized. Yeah, I got to go a lot as a kid because we played in a baseball tournament that was really right next door to Omaha. And so, yeah, for a few years in a row, we were getting to go. It was kind of brutal because the first year Texas was there, won a national title. The next few years, they 06, 07, I don't believe we made it. And so it was really weird just to be there for a year and like not see the burnt orange and not be able to root for Texas. And so, again, get up there if you can. I've kind of been like trying to ask real politely, like, you sure I can't go to Omaha on Saturday? And some of the looks I've been getting, I'm going to stop asking soon. But Josh, you go home, stay out of the comments. You're terrible. But no, guys, thanks for watching, man. Again, no college football drama to talk about today. All baseball. These fellas deserve it. Hopefully these boys get out there, hit the baseball, man. That's going to be a big thing. Stay hot on the, at the plate. Stay hot. Stay aggressive on the base pass because we've got the pitching. I think they can do it, but we'll see if this lineup continues to continue maybe playing at esse upside or hitting rather at esse upside because they've been very, very hot. But the task is tall. Georgia, Alabama, Oklahoma, whoever it is on our side of the bracket, you're going to have to play real well to win. So, Evan, any final words, brother?
I don't think so. I'm just that Saturday game is just going to be so unreal. Like maybe I don't want to say game of the year before it's happened because college baseball has some unreal games, but matchup of the year potentially for sure.
We both have Texas. I hope it works out. I hope it works out in our favor, guys. Thanks for watching, Chris, Mr. Wright, everybody commenting. I appreciate you being here, Josh, even you. But clean your act up, brother. Thanks for watching, guys. Y'all all have a good rest of your Thursday, and Hook 'em Horns.